Welcome to 5 Star Weekly. It's a bitter end to a roller coaster of a season, but who do we keep and who do we sell in this off season? We get into all that and more coming up. Welcome to the show, 5 Star fam. I'm AJ and this is Marc. Before we get into it, become part of the notification squad by hitting the bell next to the subscribe button on YouTube.
This segment is sponsored by Thinking Man Tavern, a cozy Decatur neighborhood pub. Grab a tasty beverage from a wide variety of selections and a plate of something delicious from the menu. To go, check out Thinking Man Tavern.
So the 2021 Atlanta United season comes to an end, unfortunately. And yeah, I mean, Parkey and Garza, they did talk about how difficult it was at the little kids' playpen in Yankee Stadium. And yeah, I mean, definitely as hard of a draw as we probably could have received. Definitely is not easy. We, I think, started off decently with some good possession. We were trying to play through them. And yeah, through their press, we dealt with it fairly well, to be honest. But, you know, and so we kind of created more chances than they did, you know, for the kind of big part of the first half. But then, yeah, they started to come into the match, and we kind of probably let them in a little too much. And ultimately, you know, they finish off the first half really well, and then that second half just kind of unravels in the matter of some minutes. But yeah, Marc, what were your thoughts on NYCFC and that match?
Yeah, well, I'll really talk about us more. You know, in the first half, I don't know, like, yes, we were having more of the ball, but honestly, it was a little, I was getting frustrated watching it, you know, because I just felt like no real headway was being made. Like, I never really felt like Atlanta United were all that dangerous and never really looked like scoring. And it's just one of those things, you know, it's just one of those feelings that you have, especially when you've watched soccer for a while, right? When you're that team and, you know, you have all this possession and it's stale and you're not doing anything with it, it just feels like that almost gives the other team more confidence. Mm-hmm. And, you know, NYC ended the half strong. And, whew, I mean, those two goals came like 2 minutes apart, and that's all they needed. And I don't know. I mean, especially once the second goal happened, it just felt like we were never really going to get back in that game, as disappointing as that is to say. Yeah. I mean, you know, Yankee Stadium is not a fun venue for Atlanta United. We don't have a good record there. It's a difficult place to play in general. There was a lot of slipping and falling, which, you know, that in particular irks me because, like, you know why it's happening. It's not a real field in some of it. It's literally dirt, but, you know, with a thin layer of grass or whatever. But, you know, all of that being said, did Atlanta United deserve to win? No, they didn't. So, it's and you know what the thing about this format is, that's the end of the season. You know, like that's the taste we have left in our mouth, and that's it. So, yeah, like you said, tough way to go out, kind of a bitter way to go out.
Right. And yeah, I mean, we'll get on the tough way to end the season. But yeah, basically, it's you know, a lot of lost points throughout the season gets us to this point where we don't have a home game and we have to play it at a Yankee Stadium. And exactly. You know, when you have a little bit of a break between as well, NYCFC, they definitely can, you know, plan and, you know, get their game plan of how they will, you know, deal with LA United and, you know, our type of players who, yeah, more or less, they do like to dribble against their opponents and maybe overplay sometimes, where they will, yeah, you know, run themselves into dead ends or corners that, you know, aren't really all that helpful. And then you also have, I think, in this match where, you know, no one really is stepping up. I mean, you have, you know, Jose Martinez, Luis Araujo, pretty much ineffective. Araujo taken off even. very early. And Jake Mulroney comes on, and well, that's the thing. Like the game's almost gone at that point, unfortunately.
Right.
But yeah, it's almost like the first goal definitely comes as a surprise. Goose doesn't even go for it, even though did he really have a chance? We'll see. But I mean, it's just one of those it's a half-hearted effort from a lot of the guys. And then it's very much just shell shock after that second goal. But it's lackadaisical defending. It's guys who aren't marking their men in the box, and they pretty much get a free header. Like that's unacceptable. They're not even goal side. Like it's just a lot of it is some schoolboy defending a little bit, and I think ultimately it undoes a season in which we really fight through a lot of adversity. We, us getting in the playoffs in itself is a victory, but we'll get to whether we should be just happy with this type of thing anyway. That yay, we made the playoffs, but that's not our goal at the beginning of the season. And ultimately, in my eyes, it's a failure. But what do you think?
I wouldn't call this season a success or a failure. And I'm glad we talked. I have been thinking about this. It's just one of those, like, if you were to give it a rating out of 10, I would give it a 6. You know what I mean? Just because I feel like
we're just still failing. If we're going for grades and whatnot, 6 out of 10 is still kind of failing. Well, if we're talking about football, if we're talking about soccer ratings, okay, well it's mediocre. But yeah,
exactly, and that's how I would classify this season. It's just I think they achieved a minimum target, which is making the playoffs. I think, obviously, like when Ense came in, and there was a lot of excitement, especially after signing Sosa. I think that there was a feeling like maybe we could make some noise. You know what I mean? But ultimately, I think for a first-year head coach, the goal was one, reestablish a lost identity, and two, make the playoffs again. Technically, they did that with a first-year head coach, just wasn't the coach that they started the season with. Right. And I'll say this, it's brave to do that. Like, there's not a lot of teams, certainly not in MLS or even in Europe, that will fire a coach 6 months into his contract. Like, that's expensive. And then to go get the assistant, a highly regarded assistant coach in the league, and then to double down by signing a player from Europe, over the summer. That's the kind of thing that Atlanta United is going to do. Like, and I appreciate that. Like, that Atlanta United is the type of club that makes big swings. But, ultimately, I think there are some things to build on going into next season. So that's why I wouldn't say the season's a failure. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you in not calling it a success either. Like, it's fine. So,
yeah. I wouldn't call it fine. But for me, I'd be like, yeah, it's one of those things where much of this season was a grind. It was definitely not only for the players, but I think for the fans. I mean, the fans had to endure a lot. Definitely not only Heinze with his shenanigans, but also Jose Martinez possibly leaving, and then it quickly being just rebuffed because the club realized, let's not piss off our entire fan base, and so that led to Heinze being fired, and then almost kind of, I would say this, it's possibly an accidental discovery of kind of a new team culture through interim head coach Rob Valentino, and them knowing he is such a good people person, and coach wise so respected by the players.
Right.
But and so in that sense, that was a good decision for sure. And then Gonzalo Pineda kind of is the guy that I think continues that team culture and is a malleable type of coach that looks to be a guy that they want to build around for the long term. And so whether that is the case, we shall see. It's a type of coach that definitely has the tactical acumen, but has he shown it throughout the season? Yeah, a little bit here and there. I think he did seem to adjust for this NYCFC match by playing a 4-2-3-1. Was it effective? Unfortunately not. Our most efficient and effective spells this season have been with three at the back. Whether that was for this NYCFC match, I mean, we'll never know. But obviously, we know that the players on the pitch for this match just didn't cut it. They didn't perform to the levels we expect. Even though there's a lot of talent on this team, and that's the thing. It's like ultimately, we see that there is, and there, at least for like transfer market value and stuff like that, we have one of the most valuable clubs in the league, if not the most valuable club in the league. We have, at least according to that site itself, transfer market, we have 4 of the top 10 most valuable players in the league, and that being Jose Martinez, Barco, Moreno, and Luis Araujo. And so, in a sense, we maybe also underperformed to a large degree, but and so that's maybe also just how MLS goes in a way too sometimes, right? Because you're a little bit more top heavy, and if some players go down or they're still coming back from injury, well, it is difficult to replace that type of production.
It's the points you just raised kind of reminds me of what Matt Doyle said in his playoff preview column. He did like a pro and a con for each team essentially, and Atlanta United's was basically they have the most expensive roster going into the playoffs, and I think it is the most expensive roster in the league. However, our record against playoff teams this season was bad. I want to say we had like 2 wins versus teams that eventually made the postseason. So, it kind of tells the story, there. Like, we obviously have the talent, right? We have the players. The chemistry, perhaps the tactics aren't quite there yet.
Yeah. I think it's that pretty much is the very definition of fool's gold. I mean, because, there is no other way to cut it. We, in my eyes, underperformed, and maybe we also probably overpaid for some players that are squad players, and in that sense, that's where that kind of roster construction really leaves a lot to be desired, especially when you have, and we'll get into this a little bit further, but the likes of Jurgen Damm making over $1 million. Maybe Matheus Rossetto making almost $1 million, Emerson Hyman going down making almost also $1 million. It's it gets a little bit where just imagine how much that maybe even $2.5 to $3 million can do for you, and so that's part of it. But we'll wrap a bow on the NYCFC match, even though we kind of pretty much effectively already did. But in terms of the actual news of this week, so Carlos Bocanegra, he got extended. Let's just go first off. I mean, speaking of that, because it's basically we of course talked with Parking and Garza last week, and that was pre-recorded, so we didn't get to talk about this news. But the previous episode, me with Chris Smith pretty much pontificated if Boca should be extended or anything like that, and he almost promptly gets extended. And do you agree?
No.
Does he get credit? Does he get credit for also making the move of removing Heinze, hiring Valentino / also Pineda, and for some of the moves that, because Luis Araujo looks like some player, but it's maybe like the DPs are almost sometimes can't miss. Ezekiel Barco finally coming good this season, part of that, but it's that kind of 5 through 11, and then the rest of the squad that leaves some to be desired.
Yeah, pretty much. And my thing is, and I'll go back to the point I made before about Atlanta United being that type of team that's going to take those big swings. It's one of those things where it's like, how much does a director or a general manager, how much credit do they deserve when they have that much financial backing to begin with? You know what I mean? Like, that gives you a lot of more leverage going into any negotiation. And if you're in a tough spot, a team like Atlanta United, as we've seen, will spend their way out of it. So, to me, I look at that and I go, well, how do we know that another person simply can't do this job? And I get that people want to give Bocanegra credit for constructing the championship team. I understand that, yes, he was here, he had a hand in it, but, I think we need to contextualize that a bit, right? Tata, we don't get half those players without Tata. And then, when it's just been Bocanegra, or when it's Bocanegra been leading the search, I guess. You look at a PD Martinez, for example, didn't quite work out. And then I also wonder, there was the other front office exec, his name slips my mind right now, who came in before the summer. Did he have a hand in how the summer played out? Did he have a hand in letting Ince go and hiring Pineda? I think the best thing the front office did this season was hire Pineda. Like, that, I can honestly say, that is objectively a good decision. I think that's a good direction to go toward in terms of hiring that type of manager. Somebody who knows the league, somebody who's respected by the players, also has a pretty good playing career. And he seemed to have a real connection with the players. I'm not too worried about him, not necessarily nailing the tactics right away, because I think that's what you have a full off season for anyway. But I think, being able to sort of continue that rapport that Rob Valentino started, and I think also he did a good job in rebuilding the connection with the fans. I trust the leadership of Pineda, but beyond that, it's hard for me to give Bocanegra credit. And a 4-year extension. Jeez, man, that is a real commitment. You're talking about Bocanegra being around until America hosts the World Cup. What?
Yeah. And so, that leash is very long, clearly. And, Darren Eales and Carlos Bocanegra are clearly buddies. And so, there's just, I'm not sure we can do much about that except raise more of a stink as fans and supporters when things do not go right. But if they do, also recognize that he does get credit. And so, I will recognize that he was part of the decision-making process to, make some of those moves as they did. And, that's probably where it leaves at that, though. But Rob Valentino, definitely him getting extended as an assistant coach, I think that definitely it's twofold, I think, with that. Rob Valentino definitely clearly deserves this, and he helped change that team culture. He is helping extend that as well, by still being on the assistant coach staff. But it's also probably to protect us, because we would probably get some sort of compensation if he were to be picked up by any sort of other team. And so it's just, that's smart business. And so definitely credit to the club for recognizing that and doing that. But yeah, your thoughts on Valentino extended?
Yeah, I pretty much echo those sentiments. I think it's smart business. I think I could see another MLS team even looking at his stretch as interim and going, you know what, that guy's let's keep tabs on him, much like Pineda. So yeah, I think I think he has a bright future as a coach, and I think he could do it in this league.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's clearly shown that. Yeah, he's got, I think, at least the promise that most people would be like, let's take a flyer on him if, you know, and so, because he was, I think, being considered for the RSL job as well, so, you know, he was already getting looked at. But moving on from that, the expansion draft is happening because, of course, CLTFC, I'm so tempted to say it, but Charlotte FC is coming into the league. I'm trying to keep this as PC as possible, but yeah. So, you know, December 13th is when the list of players that are eligible for selection will be pretty much having to be protected, and December 14th is when the expansion draft will happen. 5 rounds. Charlotte will be able to pick 3 minutes apart, and they will be able to pick from pretty much any team that pretty much wasn't recently chosen by, you know, Austin FC. But so that does it for the news, and gets us into the mailbag. We've brought this back for the off season, and you guys asked some really great questions, and so we'll get into it. But yeah, in terms of yeah, you know, obviously one of the players that has been heavily rumored as you know, coming in is Thiago Almeida. Fabrizio Romano almost has confirmed that, as well as Cesar Luis Merlo, in that sense where he is pretty much going to be, you know, an LA United player in January, but it's just a matter of kind of time type of thing that we're waiting on. But also because, well, you know, if he's a DP, which he will be a DP, how and who will be, you know, removed from the roster to be able to accommodate him. But so the first question comes from Terminus United 83. Who will we sell to make room for incoming players? I mean, yeah, the big one, obviously. You know, you can answer it, Marc, but who do you think is gonna be outgoing for us to be able to bring in Thiago Almeida?
Yeah, you have to figure it's Barco. You know, I think in terms of the, in theory anyway, right? Like in terms of the positions, I haven't seen a whole lot of Almeida, but based on what I understand about him, it seems like him and Barco would be a little bit redundant. I think also, truthfully, Atlanta United probably felt like Barco would be gone by now, like when they first signed him.
Yeah.
So I know, like I will say this too. I think Barco had a pretty decent season. I think especially after Aruchu came in, you saw Barco settle into a role as a, you know, somebody who's gonna have the ball at his feet, somebody who, you know, retains possession, picks up a lot of fouls, dribbles at players, can be a playmaker, even though that final ball can still be missing at times. So, you know, I think if the club could find a suitable price for Barco, which at this point I gotta imagine is basically getting back what they paid for him. You know, if they're gonna be realistic. Yeah, if that kind of offer comes in, I don't see why they wouldn't take it.
Yeah, fully agreed there. I mean, it's just yeah, Barco is the most likely person to go in that sense. You know, I don't think they would sell Marcelino Moreno at all. Like, I don't know why they would do that. You know, he just brought in, he was pretty much arguably our team MVP this season. Yeah, you're obviously not going to get rid of Jose Martinez. I mean, U22 initiative type of player, obviously, though, too. You know, do you buy down some of these other guys? Possibly. You know, Ibarra, Eric Lopez, possibly. So, you know, that is a possibility, but that stuff is kind of muddy too, whether you can actually buy down a U22 initiative player. It's just the fun MLS rules that only pretty much I think 5% of the actual MLS fans actually care or know about. So
or understand completely.
Yeah, exactly. But moving on from that, Mateo Andante asks, is the current roster capable of playing quick side-to-side passing as FDB to Gabriel Heinze to Gonzalo Pineda have wanted? Yeah, go ahead. What do you think?
Yes, I think so. It'll also be interesting to see how Almeida affects that, because again, player in his position and playing style, you figure would have a big part of the attacking buildups. I mean, yeah, I think the capability is there, because I think also in the defense, like Miles Robinson has improved on the ball. Walks isn't bad. Franco is pretty solid on the ball. You have the midfield Sosa, you have Moreno, in the midfield, of course. So yeah, I mean, I think the players are there. I think it's just a matter of I think there's not enough chemistry on this roster, which kind of makes sense because there really has been a lot of changes the past couple seasons. So, but I think we'll actually. I mean, I don't know. I'm not expecting a whole lot of upheaval this offseason. So, I think we'll actually be more settled going into next season, or we should be anyway, than previous 2 seasons.
Right. Well, yeah, and you bring up some great points, and then it makes me wonder also, because, of course, Miles Robinson, George Bello are a couple players that possibly we're trying to cash in on, move on to Europe, that type of thing. So that will, bring in some more change, and it's already a team that's, you can see by the likes of, teams in Europe, the teams that have less turnover, they stick around together as a team longer, they build more chemistry, they know each other's playing style, the tactics just become second nature. And, I think we have a young core that's really, that's important, and that's, pretty useful in trying to continue that. But it's also this. I don't know if I want this team to be playing quick side to side. I think I'd want them to be playing more with verticality, with a little bit more, pressing from the front, a little bit more kind of just like modern football, a little bit where, we don't necessarily have to break down a deep lying team. Maybe we can essentially, make things happen from the front. And I don't, to be honest though, sometimes I'm not sure that maybe like this season's Jose Martinez is maybe that answer up front. But obviously, going forward, he will be able to, recover fully. He'll have the energy levels. He'll have the, I think trust in his knee to be able to be that player up front for us. But I think side to side football, not really kind of what I'm signing up for. But but yeah, moving on from that, Edouard Henry asked, which player surprised you the most this season, new or old? For me, it was Sosa. Tenacious. Who do you think?
Surprised me? I think I would say Walks. I know he was solid last season, and I think he was even better this season. He's pretty much made that spot his in the defense, and I think you can safely say he's part of the core. To the point where, if, like you were alluding to before, if Miles Robinson leaves and let's say a George Campbell steps in and takes his place, then you could say, well, there's still stability along the back line because you have Walks and Franco. So, I think Walks has been the most surprising player for me, just because I think he has really established himself for the short and medium term.
Yeah. That's a great show. I mean, it's interesting because he maybe when he was brought in, he was probably more a squad player, a depth player, and he pretty much like almost quickly won a spot. Although I think the one knock on him has kind of been, at least in my eyes, that he's the first defender usually taken off, and I think with good reason too, because Alan Franco, former DP, Miles Robinson, kind of in contention for MLS Best 11 type of player, and so walks kind of the lowest man on the totem pole in a sense, even though he's been incredibly solid this season. I think for me, and it's the it's the team MVP. I think Marcelino Moreno wasn't maybe expected to just like shoulder the load for such a large part of the season, but he's that type of guy that I think it was incredible to see him on the ball, and to if he wasn't in the 11, we almost were hankering for him to be in that 11 because we knew what we were missing. And so for me, Moreno has got to be that guy that surprised us most this season, because the returns from last season were okay, but this season, he showed, I think he took it up another notch that maybe we all didn't really expect. But next question. Appreciate that. Next question comes from Omar 1386. Who stays and who leaves next season, or this off season? Probably is what he meant. So let's look at that Atlanta United roster together, and we'll just kind of call out each name, or I will, and we'll say if he's gonna stay. So first up, Moe Adams. I mean, didn't really play a ton of minutes. I think he played like 137 minutes this season. So, came back from a hernia surgery and didn't really figure very much at all. But what do you think? Stay? Go?
I would say probably go. I think he's being crowded out in his position. You figure Bauer will play more next season, and Sosa's obviously like a starter. So,
right. Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's possibly a useful squad player, and a guy you can bring on for some energy. But, for ball retention, for anything like that, I mean, not there. So, I mean, I'd be fine with if he stayed as, like, one of the more fringe squad players. But I feel like there are maybe some kind of either maybe some homegrowns or some other guys that might be able to do what he's doing, maybe for cheaper, probably. But and next up, he is a free agent, but Mikey Ambrose, stay or go?
I'm gonna say stay.
Okay. He wasn't used very much, and when he was used, especially against Philadelphia Union, I believe, it wasn't pretty. But so I would say I think we might be able to find some better backup. As great as he's been as a servant for Atlanta United in previous years, and of course as part of the 2018 MLS Cup team. I'm just not sure that there's a lot of more utility for him in this team. Obviously, this one's gonna be obvious. Araujo, keep him.
Yes.
Let's see, Barco. We kind of talked about him, but just for we can't move him right now because we don't know. We don't know if exactly, but I think obviously we'd keep him for more or less most purposes unless we can find the right transfer fee. But
pretty much.
Yeah. And so next up, I mean, this is more of a kind of MLS draft type of player, but Josh Bauer didn't really figure too much, obviously. Kind of more of an Atlanta United 2 player. Do we just kind of keep him at Atlanta United 2 and see what he can develop into?
Yeah, because he was only drafted last year, right? Or I guess
Right.
this year.
This season, exactly.
Right. Yeah, so yeah, no reason to get rid of him.
Yep. George Bello. What do you think?
That's a tough one for me. I think that's one of those where if you find a suitable suitor, and honestly, like I'm thinking, if somebody offers 5 million, I would say, take the transfer fee. Um,
Wow.
yeah, I mean, I think don't get me wrong. I think Bello has potential, but
Oh,
I'm starting to wonder if he's maxed out his potential. And the thing about like, at the end of the day, players to a degree are assets to the club,
yeah.
and there's a right time to move them. And so, I think that Elena and I have to be careful about missing that window. So I think if a suitable offer comes in for Bello, you let him go.
Okay. Because, yeah, we do have an Andrew Gutman
That's exactly what I was thinking.
waiting in the wings. That's, of course, he was on loan to New York Red Bulls.
And actually played.
And actually played, pretty decently. So, you can do that in that sense of if you do get a good offer. For me, I am gonna keep him until he gets maybe like an offer come in for him in the teens, and if that is the case, okay, that's probably worth it. But not that Arthur Blank really needs the money or anything, and not like we're gonna be able to keep any of the transfer fee anyway, per se. So it's just really it's just for optics at this point. But
Yeah.
But next up, George Campbell. I think this is obvious.
Yep.
Yes. Machop Chol. I think this is also obvious. Yep. Jackson Conway.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Jurgen Damm. How do we move him?
God. When can I drive him to the airport? I like the guy. His TikToks are fun or whatever, but
Exactly.
he's an effing $1 million player.
Yeah.
And yeah. I already talked about it on Twitter. It's
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Jurgen Damm, great guy. Seems like an incredible person. His TikToks are epic. He's pretty much being paid by the team for the TikTok stuff because, like, Darren Eales, like, he's utilizing that too. He's like pretty much like, yeah, well, I might as well, utilize this asset and drive up my followers on TikTok.
Yeah.
The man is at like 200,000 followers on TikTok now. I mean, it's
Good for him.
they're doing something right there. But
Right.
so next up, Alex DeJohn. Yeah, he played. He factored in a little bit, but what do you think?
I guess move if you. I mean, I don't know. It's. I guess he's depth. You know what I mean? So
Right.
It's almost like the reverse. Is like because he doesn't figure. Yes, he doesn't figure to play as much, but he doesn't. You figure he doesn't command that much of a salary, so it's like maybe just keep him.
Right. But we also have this Franco Escobar. So he possibly could return on from his loan with Newell's Old Boys, and definitely a guy who has played center back as well as right back and right wing back. Could be a versatile player. Could be also a guy that, if Gonzalo Pineda does like what he sees from him, but as we have seen from this season, if you yellow card gonna yellow card, and so basically LGP, Eric Remedi were leading the league in yellow cards. I don't know how we dealt with all three of these guys on the same team.
Yeah.
And it didn't just end up with 8 players most games. Is really a mystery. It's
Right.
But Franco Escobar, very versatile player, and kind of unplayable on his day sometimes.
Yeah.
But would you loan him back out or sell him, or would you keep him?
I guess I mean if they can afford to keep him, if they have room in the cap in the however that works. if they can keep him, I would, just for the reasons you laid out. Especially we could use depth at wingback clearly. And I think that Atlanta need to maybe give themselves some options in terms of being able to make maneuvers. You know what I mean? And so I look at the wingbacks as a position that maybe you can make some changes, or bring in some fresh players, or So yeah, I would if you can, I would keep Escobar.
Yeah, because he's a fiery figure and also a playmaker that someone that could do a job for us for sure again. But yeah, so Alan Franco, you keep obviously Brad Guzan. Obviously, I think at this point we keep because he's our captain. He's great in a lot of respects, and also shot stopping wise, he was the best in the league in terms of save percentage. So it's one of those things where he may be expensive in a way, but I think at this point, like we're keeping him. So Ronald Hernandez, who of course is on loan, but would you keep Ronald Hernandez?
Wait, he's on loan?
He is on loan, indeed.
Oh.
We have not bought him. He is still on loan from Aberdeen
right.
FC.
Right, I forgot about that little deal.
Yeah,
I would try to keep him, honestly. I think that's because if you don't have him, it's pretty much just Lennon at right wing back. And I'm on record as liking Lennon, but I still think you need like the rotation and the the competition at that spot.
Yeah, competition for places. Exactly.
Yeah.
For me, he showed some good promise. If he seemed to be content in the role as well. Will he try to push for more? Hopefully he does. You want the players to want to try to win that role, because while Lennon, in terms of key passes and a lot of those type of stats, ultimately didn't perform in some respects of the actual assist area, in which him pumping in so many crosses. Yes, at the end of the day, you want to see players get on the end of those and finish them. So it's kind of twofold. But I think Lennon has also been solid defensively for the most part. It wasn't like last year where he was getting burned a lot. He was out of position a lot, but I think this season he's been better. He's been improving, and you could definitely do worse in MLS.
Yes.
So, but moving on, Emerson Hyman, I think we have to keep for obvious reasons, because he's coming back from ACL injury, so you can't really just you can't drop him. You can't really you have really no chance of selling him really either.
Right.
So is what that is. Franco Escobar, I think we keep. He's super young player and has a lot of promise. I think definitely an intense player as well that will help kind of in pressing from the front or from midfield. Definitely a player that has loads of energy. Alec Can is going to be a free agent, but do you keep or do you move him on?
I would keep him because Guzan's getting older. I don't think you have his successor lined up necessarily, and I think you do need a solid backup, like just in case. And from what I've seen, you could do a lot worse than Alec Khan in terms of backup goalkeepers. So I think and he's a local boy from Decatur. I would keep him.
Yeah. For those same reasons, yeah, exactly, I agree. And also, though, Rocco Rios Novo, if he eventually, if we actually do try to, pretty much extend him, then he might be an heir to that type of role and eventually maybe overtake Guzan. We'll see. His size still may be a question for me. See how much of a command of the box for Rocco Rios Novo, but Brooks Lennon we talked about, but I would keep, but it's a matter of how much is he going to fetch. If or if how much is he going to make? So that's a question that will have to be considered for sure. Ben Lundgaard, third string goalkeeper. Keep or move on?
That's where it gets tough for me because it's like, what impact does he make? I mean, like,
Yeah,
there's really
play, thankfully, probably.
right. So I mean, okay, I'll say this. Well, no, because you probably want Rios Nova to actually be playing, so he's probably going to be. You would imagine spend more time with the twos if we extend him. So, I guess just keep him as long as he's happy in that role.
Yeah, agreed there. Eric Lopez.
Keep, I guess. That's another one of those where it's like, I mean, like, we just didn't hear from him in the second half of the season, right. And we spent a lot of money on him, so it's just, ugh.
Yeah.
4-year extension.
I think it's this, though. Eric Lopez, has a lot of promise. I think it's just a matter of, him putting it together. And I think he obviously needs to play with the twos as well as the first team to be able to, like, really develop. Because, if he's not going to play, well, he's got to play somewhere in order to, I think, get some more development. But Joseph Martinez, keep.
Of course.
Efren Morales, homegrown guy. He was loaned out, but, obviously, I think we would keep. Marcelino Moreno.
Yep, keep.
Jake Mulroney.
I mean, if they can, he's on the fence for me.
Yeah, like he's a guy that off the bench can dribble at players, can provide you some service, is kind of will shoot, and I think it's that there's like a considerable pace with him too, which is good. There was that messy kind of run that he had that one game, and that was quite a spectacle. But I think he's also maybe content in his role a little bit. A decent guy to bring off the bench that could play wing back or on the wing. Yeah, as long as he's not making something crazy, I'd keep him. Miles Robinson. Do you sell him this offseason to make some, some good optics, or do you keep him?
I don't. Well, I guess it really just depends on what opportunity there is. I think that's one where the club works together with the player, right? So if Miles wants to leave this offseason and there's a player in Europe that puts in a serious offer and it seems like a good opportunity for him,
club,
sorry, right. Then you let him go. But I think if I were to make a prediction, I think he'll stay through the winter, and if anything, possibly move in the summer, because I think the smart play, he's already playing with the national team, and so it's like that's pretty good exposure. And so I would actually, I would suggest that he shouldn't shake things up for his career right now. At least not right this second. Like maybe wait 6 months, and then the European market, it's a little, it's easier to make moves at that point. I think to make that move as a player, I think you'd want to go in an off season, get the time to get to know your manager and your teammates and so forth. So I think that will probably end up being the smartest thing for him, is to wait until the summer.
Yeah. But obviously the club makes those decisions and not Miles Robinson himself. So
right.
I think that's ultimately where, do you sell him this offseason? I think no. And you brought up a great point in that sense where, he's already part of the U.S. men's national team. Like, there's not a rush for him to leave. He's getting the looks for his national team. Like, it's
right.
At that point, like, you are on an upward trajectory, but it's just not as kind of agitating for a move type of thing. But definitely, I would keep him throughout the offseason. Matheus Rossetto, keep or move?
If you can get some value for him, you know, if you get some good gamma or whatever it is, funny money, then sure. Because I mean, I don't know. He's okay for me. Like he shouldn't. I don't think he's good enough to be an integral part of the team now.
Yeah, because I mean, it's this like, and we were talking about it before the show. It's like, yeah, he's really good on the ball, but in terms of does he shoot? Does he provide that key ball? Does he defend? I mean, it's really he's just a good dribbler of the ball, maybe a Nagbe light, and and that's kind of one of those things where unfortunately he's maybe not as I think clean defensively as Darlington Nagbe, who when he was on the team, he basically there weren't really many fouls committed by Darlington Nagbe, but when you see Mateus Rossetto defend, there's a lot of rash tackles. There's and I think it's that. It's like maybe he might be able to grow into the role, and maybe if more is expected of him, and he's pushed to do more things, possibly. But I think he's kind of kind of that tweener of like young but not, and so can we find better? I think so too. But would I be in a rush to move him? Not really, but if we can't clear Jürgen Damm, and maybe Emerson Hyman, maybe he's that guy that would clear off some money off the books that we could bring in, maybe somebody that provides a little bit more production. But dude is really, really good on the ball, though, like in terms of dribbling and breaking pressure, essentially. But and speaking of a guy that also is kind of in that mold a little bit, Amar Sadich, stay or go?
Say keep. I think he's a valuable depth piece in the midfield. He did end up playing some important minutes, and honestly, like I think he was the player that we needed Moe Adams to be. So I think Sadich is worth keeping.
Yeah. Also pretty decent on the ball. A little bit defensively provides a little bit of that, but maybe not a lot going forward or anything like that. But as a squad piece, I keep him. Santiago Sosa, stay or go?
Oh well, I mean,
obviously stay. Kubo Torres, seems also like a great guy, but it's definitely the closer, exactly. But do you pay a backup striker to just do that for you? It's nah. Not with as many sitters as he's missed, unfortunately. We got to find better depth behind Joseph Martinez, and even though he was making nothing, but still, it's one of those. So pretty unanimous there. Anton Walks, I think you kind of said it earlier, and with all that you've said, and I would say definitely keep as well. Valuable 11 / squad member, and Tyler Wolf,
keep. For sure. That guy's showing a lot of promise,
not only as a midfielder, but when he played as a forward for the twos, he scored like I think he had a hat trick or something like that. It was ridiculous. I was like, okay, so all right, well, continue that and do this for the first team, please. But
seriously.
But so that was kind of long-winded, but we appreciate you guys for sticking around for that. I mean, it was very much, I think, going through. It's almost like a postmortem of the team anyway for the season.
Right.
But let's see. I think the last question will be from Green Eggs and Cam. Which 12 players are you protecting? Bring me back on the show sometime. That's, of course, Cameron, who's been on some of our fan cams. So, yes, of course, he will be brought on to the show at some point. We love that guy. But, so, let's maybe, to make this more fun in a way, we'll go. I go one, you go one,
Okay.
and I'll maybe eventually later tack this on the side. Who we have as our 12 players that we keep for the MLS expansion draft, so that they are not chosen by ATL FC. But so first up for me, Robinson, you.
Yep. Guzan.
Okay. Next up for me is Alan Franco.
So I have Robinson.
Okay. Yeah, since Lennon, he will be a free agent, but they are not protected. I will be keeping Lennon as one of my players in the 12. What about you?
Lennon's not on my list. I could see him being moved. I think he would fetch some value in the trade market or the MLS market.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So who is your next player?
Franco.
Okay. And next up for me, Santiago Sosa.
Yep. Got him.
Uh-huh. Next up for me is Franco Ibarra.
Yep. Got it, Bauer.
Mm-hmm. And then I think these next four we could just say together. But Moreno, Barco, Joseph, Araujo. Okay, and I was trying to be as ethnic as possible with the words. Anyway,
it wasn't bad.
Yeah, thank you, appreciate it. And so, next to those, we shall see. I mean, this is on Charlotte to see if they, want to take some flyers, maybe in some ways. But for me, walks.
Yep.
And then I would keep Eric Lopez because, I mean, will they use a U22 spot on in Eric Lopez? Who, I mean, that's the thing. Would they take a flyer? I mean, he's that type of player that, it's like a Brandon Vasquez, a guy that has promise, and then in that sense would be free. It would be a pretty prudent move to do, so I would protect him. What about you?
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I would totally protect Lopez. I think that's, yes, we haven't seen much, but he's still young enough. He's got the potential. He came over from, was it Paraguay? With a pretty decent profile. So, yeah, I think you got to keep him because you've invested, that was a pretty significant investment. To let him go in the expansion draft would be kind of crazy.
Yeah, indeed. And then next up for me, and last, would be Josetu.
No Guzan.
And no Guzan. Yeah, so
wow.
My thinking is here, well, they don't have a keeper yet, but it's in the sense, are they really going to be shelling out, that much for an older goalkeeper? At his wages, at that type of his production is still really, really good for MLS, but would they do that? And I mean, would they do that just to spite us? Because it seems like it's a budding rivalry that's completely one-sided, and and because we are living rent-free in their minds, as they say, and for us, and that's the thing. I don't know if we need to protect Brad Guzan from Charlotte. It's just, with those reasons that I just outlined, I don't really know if we need to. But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. I think all those reasons are sound. It's just that he was actually pretty solid this season. Mm-hmm. And I said it multiple times throughout the season, too. As much stick as we give Guzan, he actually did come up big in certain spots, and we talked about the save percentage already. Yeah. I think that I could see an expansion team earmarking a player, even though he's expensive, earmarking Guzan, being yes, this guy can at least help us, get established in the league. This guy has 1 or 2 seasons left. So yeah, you could do a lot worse in terms of goalkeepers than MLS, honestly. Yeah. So I think that if you were available, I definitely think that Charlotte would take a flyer on him. So I would protect him just in case.
Okay. And then who's your last player? Who's that 12th guy?
So I am protecting Hernandez. And so my thinking is, I did not have Brooks Lennon on my list. With that option that he has, I just wonder if we saw Atlanta United make a deal with Cincinnati when they came into the league, and they actually ended up moving Greg Garza. And I just wonder if Brooks Lennon is in that sort of space. Like, I think, obviously, as you guys know, I think he's not bad. But I do wonder if they could maybe go in a different direction in terms of the wingback position, especially the right wingback position. You have Hernandez there for one. If you're able to keep him, Escobar coming back if you're able to keep him, or you could just go look for a different player. So it's and then it's this too. Like, are they committed to the three at the back, or are they going to go to traditional four at the back? Because in that case, you would need a right back, which Lennon, as good as he is not really a right back. So, I would not be surprised to see Lennon move. Put it that way.
Okay. Yeah. No, it's some interesting points. Ronald Hernandez, because he is on loan in that sense. I don't know if we need to protect him. Maybe he's is that type of player where he's just he goes back to Aberdeen, and then maybe we go and get him if we need him. Because Jack Gurr, we moved him over there like mysteriously, and it was definitely like, oh, okay, we're not gonna, I guess, because it's just like it'd be money, and I explained this today to you, I think, pretty much, but it'd be moving your money from your right pocket to your left pocket. So there's not really a point in getting a transfer fee for Jack Gurr when we, as a club, put in money to help sustain Aberdeen FC. Like, it's just like, is there really a point? So, it looked a little fishy. It looked a little weird to just release Jack Gurr and then he signs with Aberdeen FC, but
that too, yeah.
It is what it is. But yeah. So just to recap real quick, mine's Robinson, Franco, Lennon, Sosa, Ibarra, Moreno, Barco, Joseph, Araujo, Lopez, Walks, and Josetu. Marc's is, you can go ahead and read it.
Yeah, Guzan, Robinson, Franco, Sosa, Ibarra, Moreno, Barco, Joseph, Araujo, Walks, Hernandez, and Lopez.
Okay, yeah. So, do you guys agree? Do you not agree? That leads us into our question of the day. Yeah, which players would you keep and which players would you move on from the 2021 season, and also for the expansion draft, which players would you keep? Looking forward to what you guys have to say in the comments below. But guys, thank you so much for following us all season, for watching, for subscribing, for all the comments and engagement. We have really, really appreciated it, and much more to come in the off season, as there will be lots of movement and rumors and all that. So stay tuned. We appreciate you. We love you. And for Marc, remember to for Marc, I'm AJ. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, and we will see you in the next video.